Okay, I think we are live. Perfect. Okay, so today in this live stream, I'm going to be mixing in real time a song by a songwriter who lives in St. Lucia. His name is Carlos, I believe it's St. Omer. And he's a great songwriter. In fact, just got awarded the Songwriter of the Year from the Orpheus organization. So you can check his website out in the description, but we're going to be mixing a song. He periodically has me both sing and mix and master his demos for him. So the vocals on this track are going to be me, and then we're just going to mix it. And just to give you an idea, this category of mixing is not. I don't go into great meticulous detail. I would put this into the releasable demo category. The producer who produced the tracks was very, very organized in getting everything condensed into just 11 tracks or 11 stems, which I would say for you producers out there who want an engineer to mix your tracks at an affordable rate, the best thing that you can do for them is not submit an endless stream of tracks. I'm seeing that more and more where people will, in their project, they will submit to the engineer 60, 70, 80, 100, 120 tracks. And I personally think that is a little overkill. You need to condense some of those tracks before you get it to the engineer, unless you want it to cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But this is, I've got a pretty good workflow with Carlos. We work together a lot. And so I'm able to utilize some tools that save a lot of time. And a lot of times people debate when you have plugins that you use, do you use stock plugins or do you use third party? And I would say the real answer to that, and because I'll be using Logic today, Logic has fantastic stock plugins. And I would maintain continually that you can achieve the sound that you want absolutely only utilizing stock plugins. There's no doubt in my mind. It really comes down to skill. But what I use third-party plugins, and we'll go through them, is they can be a real time saver. In fact, a company that I utilize a lot for this is Waves plugins, because while they don't necessarily develop your skill, they can basically create a routing workflow into your session that emulates the great engineers in larger studios. And that's kind of how I categorize Waves, is that all the hard routing is done for you inside of the plugin, so that you can focus on quickly dialing in the sound that you want. And for situations like this where I got to crank out a mix pretty quick, this video is not going to take very long. We're going to dive right in and quickly get a very releasable mix of this song. So without further ado, let's dive right into that. The last live stream, I forgot to turn on my screen, so I want to correct that now. So we're going to go right into the session. I've got everything ready to go, and I've already got my tracks organized. I typically follow, like you see, there's not a ton of stems here. I do have my reference tracks that I want to get rid of. I don't need those anymore. So basically up here at the top is the vocal, and I follow a pretty standard workflow: drums, bass, guitar, keys, and then any other auxiliary instruments. And then I would normally put vocals after that, but the one exception that I do to when I'm mixing is whatever the most important thing is, I just go ahead and put that up at the top, because that's the vocal in this case is the thing that I'm working everything else around. So I put the vocals at the top, and then drums, bass, keys, and so on down here. Now, I haven't done any color coding. I haven't done an extensive amount of organization, because we have 11 tracks. It's really not terribly necessary. One of the things that I've seen engineers do, and it really does make a lot of sense, is try to remove the silence from all of to kind of give you an idea of where things are. And that actually is a pretty sensible thing. So the first thing I want to do, and on Logic, it's actually very easy to do this. The key command is it's Control X, almost like you're doing a cut on a PC, but on a Mac, Control X opens up this screen, and it allows us to remove all silent bits. Now, I'm noticing that there's a lot of individual things in here, so I'm going to adjust this a little bit. I want to increase the tolerance because, yeah, I want it to do that. And I probably want to have a pre-attack time I want to add maybe a second to the pre-attack time, so that I just make sure that it doesn't chop anything off at the top. Okay, so those are my settings. And so it's going to remove the silence and on that one. And so now that I've got my settings, you notice it just chopped this guy up. And since I've got that going on there, I'm going to just go down the list here. This is just really quick. And this does give you a very good visual representation of what's going on in the song. And thankfully, Logic has an automatic way to do it for you, which is super great. And like I say, this producer that Carlos works with, I don't know if Carlos produces his own music. I honestly don't know if he hires it out. But whatever the case may be, he does a really good job of everything is prepared beautifully for me to be able to quickly get in there and start mixing, because that's how I'm able to offer very affordable mixing rates, because I'm not having to do a lot of the preliminary work, because mainly what we need to do here is create a balance. I will throw on some pitch correction on my voice. It's pretty much there, but there's always pitch variances, and it just helps to throw in a pitch correction. Now, I can't remember what key this song is in, so we're going to have to find that out. I'm going to grab my phone and put up a piano and see if I can find the key of it. They make some great plugins that I should probably look into. Mixedinkey.com actually has great pitch detection or key detection plugins that are really good. A lot of the ones that I have used have not been good, but that is actually a good one. Okay, so I have a piano here, and I gotta get past this ad. Okay, close. Perfect. All right, so let's see. We're gonna play this a little bit. Her call was unexpected. Her call. Get the key of G. It came and he thought. E minor, G major, kind of neither here nor there. So first thing I want to do is just go ahead and create a balance. And I have a great control surface in front of me, and I just got it. It's not a new control surface, but it's a really nice one. It's an Avid artist control. And I like it. And I just love the tactileness of mixing. So you're going to see the faders move, but you're not going to see my mouse move, but hopefully it'll all make sense for you. So like I said, the first thing that I want to mix is the lead vocal and the harmonies, and then everything else I'll build around it. So what I do is starting here, from here on, I'm going to basically zero out all of my faders. And I have two more right there at the bottom. I'm going to zero them out. Start from scratch. It's the best way to get your mix. And then I've got my vocal here at unity. So we're just going to listen to that. Her call was unexpected. It came and he thought he was doing fine. Yeah, so as we can see, there's a little bit of pitch correction needed. So the first thing I want to do is, even though I only have, I'm going to go ahead and hide this because we don't need that either. Let's go ahead and hide that. Okay, perfect. Doing fine. So the vocal, I could hear a couple of problems there. So I don't have a ton of plugins, but one of them I was going to talk to you about is this Voice Centric from Greg Wells at Waves. It is fantastic. One of my favorite vocal plugins of all time. I use it a lot. But before that, I want to go ahead and put in a pitch correction right here. And we'll go ahead and set the key to the key of G. Right. Okay, so let's see what that does. She hadn't seen her ex in years. Surprising him was on. Her call was unexpected. It came and he thought he was doing fine. Doing fine. She hadn't seen her ex in years. Surprising him was on her mind. So it's sometimes, so I probably, as much as I hate to admit it, I think I need to go and do some flex editing. So the way we're going to do that is go up here and go ahead and let flex pitch analyze this. I don't want there to be any pitch variances. You know, the 1 to the 7, the 1 to the 7, those are so close together that it's easy for those to get, it's easy for the 1 or the root of the key to go flat. So that's probably one that I'm going to really focus on going through, and hopefully I can just pitch correct this all the way through. I don't think I'm going to need to do this with the harmonies as much, because those don't have to be quite as perfect, but this one definitely does need to be pretty solid. And it's usually lower notes that tend to go flat. And no matter how good of a singer you are, everybody's always a little bit flat. So, and I'm not going to correct everything. I'm only going to correct what sounds to me like it needs to be corrected. Her call was unexpected. It came and he thought it... Okay, so right there, what happens, like right here, is it dipped to the F sharp. So the first thing I want to do is I want to just correct that and narrow this vibrato so that it doesn't hit the F sharp. What he was doing. Let's go back and listen here. Whoa, oh, almond shuttle. Yikes, stop, 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 stop. I don't like shuttle. Stop. Okay, hang on. Let me get that to normal shuttle mode. Perfect. Okay, whoa, goes fast. Goodness gracious. Why is it still shuttling? Stop it. All right. Still learning how to use this thing. It's still shuttling. Why is it shuttling? I don't want it to do that. Let's try that one more time. Oh, I see. How about... Okay, that's zoom. Okay, so... How do I turn that off? I thought that when I hold shift and I hit that, it should toggle. Oh well, I guess I can't use my jog wheel. That stinks. I'll have to figure that out later. That's a bummer. All right. Her call was unexpected. And here's another thing right here. It's just, I mean, it's fine because see, this block is not in the right spot, but when you look at the lines, it's actually hitting where it needs to go. So that's fine. It came and he thought he was doing fine. Doing fine. And I want to narrow this vibrato a little bit because it was going flat, which happens sometimes. Fine. There we go. Doing fine. She hadn't seen. Okay, this one right here, that is definitely a little flat. She hadn't seen her ex in years. Surprising him what? That was flat. Gee whiz. Surprising him was on him. Was on. Was on her mind. Was on her mind. Went a little sharp, which happens too.
on her mind when he picked her up. When he picked her up.
Okay, interesting. See if I can just flatten that out.
When he picked her up, that ain't that familiar smile had him hypnotized. That ain't that familiar smile had him hypnotized. Thought he was over her when lightning struck in the same place twice. The same place twice. Thanks to trusting hearts falling for love again, to good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne.
And a bottle.
And a bottle of champagne. And a bottle of champagne. And a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance. They acted on an impulse, they couldn't pass up the chance. Falling for love again.
All right, we're going to leave that for now. If I hear anything in the future, I will definitely deal with it. But one of the other things you probably also heard is that there is some, it's getting cut off different regions. So I need to correct that. So the first thing I want to do is turn off the snapping and just make sure, and I want to turn up the zoom over here so I can see the waveforms nice and good. And whoops, want to make sure that I can just slide these around, make sure that I don't pick up or lose any of the sections. Like here's one. So if I get this kind of double I-beam here, I can just slide it to the left and then it brings in the previous or that section. So we'll do that here. All right, same thing here. Just kind of stretch that out. Just make sure that we don't get anything cutting off. There we go. There we go. That's good. And then here, I can do the same thing, but I want to go ahead and flatten and merge this so that I can, whoa. Here we go. What on, oh, no. Okay, let's undo that. I made a mistake. So before, I guess I can do this. Yeah, I can do that. But I do have a problem here. So I have to actually extend it out here. There we go. That's great. That's the one thing about comping. Comping makes that process a little bit. I should have just done flatten without merge, and I wouldn't have had a problem. But when you merge it, it doesn't keep what isn't visible. There we go. That's good. All right. Now this time I'm just going to do flatten, not flatten and merge, because then if I do it that way, I can, whoops, hang on. And it says no overlap. That's strange. Why? Okay, there it goes. Yep. And now this is interesting here.
For a time to reminisce.
Okay, I've got to fix that. I don't think I fixed that in the comp, so let's go backwards. I did not comp that part very well, so let's turn that down, and I should probably pick it up right here.
A time to laugh and dance, acting on an impulse.
Yeah, there we go. So before I flatten it, I want to make sure the comp is good. And again, let's flatten it. Do the same thing, bring that over. There we go. And then that should, is that going to do it?
Time to reminisce.
What on earth? That is not right. But I think I can do this because it's, I can comp it this way. that works.
To reminisce, a time to laugh.
And let's make sure. Get that right up close to there to make it a nice clean comp.
A time to laugh and dance, acting on an
All right, and moving on, this one needs to go in between there. And this one needs to get extended out. Oh. Probably extend that over too. Again, just don't want anything getting cut off. All right, that's done. There's a long little tail at the end of that. And let's bring in the interesting how it's not letting me. Should be able to grab that. Very strange. Oh well, it'll be fine. Okay, so now I want to do the same thing with my harmonies. I don't think I'm going to have as many problems with the harmonies as far as like anything getting cut off. But yeah, in fact, yes, we do have to do it. In fact, here. There we go. And also here, looks like needs to be cleaned up. Perfect. That looks good. Same thing here. No. There we go. There we go. I think that's it. There it goes. Now I can let me grab this. That's so weird why it wouldn't before. Now we're shorting the song marker. Okay. So now let's listen to the vocal.
All was unexpected. It came and he thought he was doing fine. Doing fine. She hadn't seen her time. Doing fine.
Another thing that I want to do is put in just a simple gate over here. Probably before pitch correction. I want to put a gate on the, just a simple gate.
Her call was unexpected. It came and he thought he was doing fine. Doing fine. She hadn't seen her ex in years. Surprising him was on her mind. On her mind.
Okay, then we want to do, after that, after pitch correction, before the voice-centric plugin, I would like to go ahead and throw in a high pass.
When he picked her up at 8, that familiar smile had him hypnotized. Thought he was over her when lightning struck in the same place twice. The same place twice.
Let's do the same thing on the BGV track. Let's go ahead and put, before here, let's put a noise gate.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again, to good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne, for a time to reminisce.
So let's just solo out, or group this
Thanks
section
to
here.
trusting hearts.
Usually background vocals, I high pass a little bit more than lead vocals so that they get that stereo
Thanks
separation.
to trusting hearts, falling for love again. Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love.
Great. All right. Okay, so now we have kind of the vocals. Now, I want to show you this nifty little plugin from Waves. The main thing that we want to take a look at with this guy, Fooey, is first on the lead vocal. The intensity is kind of where I want it, but the main thing that I want to check on is just making sure my input level here is good.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again.
So that I get a decent amount of noise reduction.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. Thanks to trusting heart.
See, that's pretty good. And so again, you dial up the intensity to where you like it, and you can see what this plugin does. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love.
It's just an instant one hit. I mean, it's a one knob wonder is what it is. It's amazing. All right, we're gonna do the same thing on the harmonies.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. 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 Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again.
Good. Vocals are good. Okay. Now that's probably going to be one of the harder things in this mix to deal with. So now that we've kind of isolated all of, taken all the silence out, we know where the busy parts of the song are. So what we're going to do is just pick one of these regions that kind of has a lot of overlapping regions to it. Even probably this one would be better because it's got that. It's sometimes like either the second or the last chorus. Let's go ahead and do this last chorus just in case. This is probably the loudest portion of the song. So we're going to just loop this. And we're going to start mixing.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again.
Starting with the drums. Actually, before we do that, I want to group some channels. So the drum loop and the topper, I'm going to put into a track stack. And this will be a summing stack, just in case I need to do any compression on it. I'm going to call this the drums. Okay. And bass will be by itself. Guitar, we'll put both of these guitars into a track stack. And we'll call that guitars. And we'll collapse that one. And then we'll put all the synths in a track stack. Sum that. Great. And these fellas right here, these are going to be in a track stack called effects. All right. So now I've kind of reduced another thing when you're mixing, grouping your channels in either sub track stacks or DCAs helps you quickly reduce the number of tracks. And you can kind of still see what's going on, but you don't have as many tracks to deal with. And so literally now I don't have to deal with, but what I do have to do now is return everything that's in a track stack to Unity so that I can make that my baseline. So for instance, these guitars, if I hold down Option and tap the select all of those, hold down Option, okay, and all my effects, same thing. This means that we can just basically mix this pretty quickly. All right. Okay, so I want to make sure now that, okay, so tracks 1 and 2, we're going to bring those down, bring that down. Now we're going to actually build our mix from the ground up. Okay, here we go. Here comes drums.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. To good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance. Acting on an impulse, they couldn't pass up the chance at falling for love again. Falling for love again.
Let me shorten that loop so that we don't have to deal with the extra silence at the end there.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. To good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance. Acting on an impulse, they couldn't pass up the chance. Falling for love again.
So by putting the vocals in at unity, we know that unity is optimal. So whatever the main thing is, I shoot to put that straight at unity and then mix everything around it, which means you think subtractively sometimes. If something's getting in the way of that vocal, instead of turning up the vocal, you turn down the thing that's getting in the way. So you have to think subtractively before additively. All right, so now we have synths.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. Good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance. Acting.
Yeah, I want the synths to be more in the background, so I was bringing up more of that guitar.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. Good.
And then what's left at this point is just these sound effects. So I want to bring those in.
Love again. Drove her back. Love again. Drove her back. Love again. Drove her back.
Good. And we'll just test it here.
Now, thanks to trusting hearts. Now.
Okay. So we already have a pretty good mix. That didn't take very long. The setup takes longer than all of that. But let's just kind of navigate through the song and see if... You know what? That's interesting. So I think I need to work on...
Her car was up.
So there we go. So now this is an example where I might need to balance something within a track stack because I want those lead lines in the synth to come out a little bit more than they are. No, not that. It's too quiet.
Her call was unexpected. It came when he thought he was doing fine.
So the way that I'm going to do it is kind of interesting, but we're going to bring up the synth here until it's loud enough for me.
Her call was unexpected. It came when he thought he was doing fine.
I almost want that up at unity. Let me see. See what I hear.
Her call was unexpected.
So that's where we definitely want it. But what that's most definitely going to mean is in this more busy section, I'm going to have to bring down these other pads. So.
Thanks to trusting, falling for love again. It's a good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to rest. Time to laugh and dance. He acted on an impulse. He couldn't pass up the chance. I've fallen for love again. Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. It's a good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance. He acted on an impulse. He couldn't pass up the chance. I've fallen for love, fallen for love.
And I think I could do with a little bit more of that BGV.
Thanks to trusting hearts, falling for love again. It's a good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance. He acted on an impulse. He couldn't pass up the chance.
All right, so really for me, this song is basically mixed, balanced. So that just leaves the mastering stage. And again, this is not a spend the next 10 hours getting everything just right. This is just to get a really good demo quality master.
Na, 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 na. Oh.
And I think one thing that I'm noticing about these harmonies is I would like to put a little bit more verb on these. So if I go here and then go back to my voice centric, I can actually increase that reverb a little bit for the BGVs.
So well,
Kind of wash them out a little bit.
so well. Na 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 na. Oh.
Cool. All right. Okay, so now on to the mastering stage. Now, again, a lot of times people will bounce out their mix and then do mastering separate. In this case, this is a quick and dirty mix. I want it to be in the session because the session's not terribly complicated and throwing on a master channel is not that big of a deal.
Thanks to trusting hearts.
So we're going to mix this portion right here. And I want to make sure that my loop is inside of this last chorus.
Thanks to trusting hearts.
And so here we go. It's time to master. And I'm going to go over here. And I already have a little preset for this. And this is my basic mastering. And all it really is, is Ozone 10. Ozone 10, I think right now they're on Ozone 11. So there are actually two plugins. I have Mix Centric, which is also a Greg Wells Wave plugin. And it looks just like Voice Centric, but it's for mixes. So I'm going to turn this knob up. And then we're going to go into Ozone, and we're going to have Ozone do the final mastering. But this adds some clarity and saturation and all that kind of stuff. So let's play this last chorus and turn this up, and you'll immediately hear a difference.
Thanks to trusting heart.
Oh, it's a little hot coming in, so let's turn that down.
Thanks to trusting heart. Falling for love again. Good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance.
So just this guy right here, I mean, this is worth its weight in gold. Just for getting that polished readiness. It's a one knob wonder. You're not going to learn how to engineer, but if you're just needing a quick and dirty tool to get a really good result, I mean, you just heard what it did. It just opened up the mix a lot. And then from here, we go to Ozone 10. And from here, all I got to do is hit play and then tap that right there, and it'll just do an analysis for us, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks to trusting heart. Falling for love again. Good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance. Acting on an impulse, I couldn't pass up the chance. Falling for love again.
So a pretty dramatic change, and it chose rock, but I would probably select rock for this genre, not rock, pop, not rock. So let's just kind of scroll through our song here. Just see how it sounds throughout.
Her call was unexpected. It came when he thought he was doing fine. Doing fine. She hadn't seen her ex in years. Surprising him was on her mind. On her mind. When he picked her up at 8, that familiar smile had him hypnotized. Thought he was over her when lightning struck in the same place twice. The same place twice. Thanks to trusting hearts. Falling for love again. To good dinner conversation and a bottle of champagne. For a time to reminisce, a time to laugh and dance. He acted on an impulse. He couldn't pass up the chance. I've fallen for love, fallen for
So as you see, it's not hard to get a pretty solid mix with a little bit of work and some really great tools. Again, I use a lot of the stock plugins, but when I'm mixing quickly for a client and they need a quick mix, those Waves tools, and there's only a handful of them. You could probably get both. You can get all of the Greg Wells for about $100. The Ozone, I still use Ozone, but the new version of Logic has a mastering assistant, which is comparable. So you don't even have to invest in a mastering solution if you have that, the latest version of Logic. It's great. I haven't used it yet, but I've gotten great reviews on it. So there you go. We've got this song. It's ready to mix. So from here, I'm just going to bounce this out, send it off to the client. And later today, I'll be going back to if you've been following me on the produce 8 songs in 8 days, we're going to be continuing on that. But I had to slide this one in, so I thought I would go live and have you watch me mix. If you have any questions, let me go back here. If you have any questions or comments, why don't you put them down there in the comment section? I'll try to respond to everybody. And like and subscribe if you like content like this. It's not polished, and it's not. I don't have like all the lower thirds and stuff. Maybe I'll add a lot of that stuff later. But I just wanted to have you watch me work. This is real life work that I get on a regular basis. And so for you aspiring producers out there, those who don't just want to fall into the category of making beats, there's so much more out there in the area of mixing and mastering, and the tools make the process so accessible. So hope this was informative and useful for you. I look forward to seeing you on the next live stream. Have a good one, and we'll see you soon.